Today on the Nerdy Gritty, when Disney takes over Fox's portion of the Marvel Universe, how should they deal with Wolverine and other characters?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I'm Fox.
I'm Dez. Oh, hang on. We got some interference.
Hold on.
Here. Wait. I think.
Hold on. Let me tune the dials here.
Okay.
Oh, yep. Okay. Looks like we got another episode of Dez and Fox Yell at Bigots.
Oh,
it's coming in. It's coming in hot. Get ready for it. This is a recurring segment you might have heard, but it's
a recurring segment that recurs, like, there's no real plan to it until bigots come out, and then we just get really angry.
Then there's another segment. Yeah, so today's episode is brought to you by some dumb jerks who think that Captain Marvel is stupid because she's a woman.
What? Oh,
that's essentially the argument, is that Captain Marvel is dumb because woman. I mean, that's not what they're saying, but that's essentially it's. It's sexism.
Okay, I actually have before we move on, I have a little bit of a problem with Captain Marvel.
Okay.
She's actually Envy Adams, the lead singer of the band
Clash
called
of Demon
Clash
Head.
of Demon Head, yes,
of Scott Pilgrim fame.
And every time that I see her, I'm like, I just wanted to be like, hello.
That's what you see
me.
her as,
oh,
really?
Absolutely.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Because I love Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Okay.
It's one of my
no,
all-time
me too.
favorite
I like that
movies.
movie.
Yeah.
But I've seen lots of, well, not lots, but several Brie Larson movies, and so they've kind of.
But to see Superman and Captain Marvel on the stage right there. Because Brandon Ruth is the bassist.
Brandon Ruth, yeah. Right. No,
anyway,
so here's
ahead.
the thing. People, I mean, just at the get-go, people are upset about Captain Marvel. Sexists were upset about it because woman.
They haven't been upset about her for decades before.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. People are upset. Literally, like, Marvel's getting too political because they have a female superhero as the lead. That's what people say. Now, let's be clear. When people complain about this, it's a very small segment of the population.
Right.
Very small.
Right.
It's much more vocal or easy to make a big vocal uproar about it on the internet, because then people get upset and news articles get written about it. And so it seems like it's a much more amplified thing than it is. It's more amplified.
Right, obviously.
It's a small portion.
The internet
just like with the Ghostbusters thing.
Louder. Yeah.
Not very many people actually cared that it was women.
They cared that it was bad.
Yeah, go to Red Letter Media and watch their Scientist Man Explains Ghostbusters. It's hilarious, but it also shows how few people actually cared about that. Anyway, but they're also upset that Brie Larson identifies herself as a feminist, which we all should, if you understand what feminism is.
Right.
If you understand what actual feminism is and should be, then we all should identify as feminists. We all should. Even people. Yeah, anyway, but she recently said that she hopes more like people of color and women journalists get to be in okay, so there's a thing called a press junket. Basically, when you see an interview with an actor, mm-hmm. where it's just them sitting there, or maybe them in another, and there's like a logo behind them of the movie, you'll see that. That basically means that for a whole day,
there's a queue
they
of
sat
press.
there, and then there's just a press member after press member asking them questions.
I knew that's the way it worked. I didn't know it was called a press junket.
A press junket. Yeah, I mean, that's the term I've heard. It might not. I don't know. But she said that she hopes that in the press that more people of color, more women are people, because it's like a lot of industries, pretty dominated by white men.
White men, yeah.
And people are now saying that she doesn't want men to see the movie. Like, obviously, they're being stupid and sexist and exaggerative. No, obviously, it makes no sense. They're a bunch of dummies. They're a bunch of dumb jerks.
All right. Let's talk about what we've been up to recently.
It's a good idea. Good.
We've been complaining about these people for 10 minutes.
Yep, that episode of Dez and Fox Yell at Bigots is over.
Yeah, it's over now. I'm going to go first here because
Yes.
I'm actually really excited to continue talking about The Umbrella Academy.
Okay, yeah.
The Umbrella Academy is a series on Netflix right now, and I have one big complaint about it, and it's kind of The Umbrella Academy's fault, but it's also just literary tropes' fault in general.
Sure.
But I'll get to that in a second. If you guys have not seen The Umbrella Academy, it's a show on Netflix right now that, if I could describe it as overarching as possible, if there were superhero teenagers that survived a Wes Anderson movie and then grew up and ended up in a Zack Snyder Watchmen-style movie, That is what this is. So there is so much of a touch of Wes Anderson throughout the entirety of it. Like they're just in a lot of the cinematography, in a lot of the way the music plays into it. And the fact that so much of it involves school kids in British uniforms and things like that. Like it's very, very Wes Anderson in that. But at the same time, it's also a gritty look at the after effect of superheroism.
This is realistic, real life.
Yes,
Yeah.
but superheroism is not a thing anymore. Like, these people are done being those superheroes. They've gotten into their normal lives now, and now they're just people again. And how they're dealing with the death of their father, and then some other things that are also going on.
Yeah.
And all of this is really good, and it's done really, really well. There is one problem with it that I have, and if you know the literary trope, you could probably get all the reasons why this is an issue, but time travel is involved in it. Exactly, right? Exactly.
Time travel is always an issue.
Yes.
There is one piece of media that time travel works well in, and it's Back to the Future.
Right.
Because they firmly explain exactly what is going on. This isn't like literally Doc Brown says this is an alternate universe, and he like draws it on a thing, and now we're back to the like it's just that's what it is.
Yeah.
Generally, you don't get that though.
And in this, they handle it. They've been handling it really well. It's just one of the story parts is they have one guy who can teleport. And because he can teleport, he's finally realized that he can alter space-time, and because of that, he should be able to travel through time. And
like the Flash,
right.
kind of, he can move so fast that it actually affects time.
And so he ends up 8 days in the future, and realizes that it's the apocalypse.
Wow, that's pretty close.
The world is ended.
Okay.
And so he travels back, and he's like, I don't know how it happens.
Oh, guys, there's a thing.
I don't know what. Like, I couldn't find the moment, but this is going to happen, and we need to figure this out now. But then, for the well-explained reasons, he can't time travel anymore.
Okay.
And so there is no like, let's just try it 8 different times and see if I
can
just keep
he's like,
coming
okay,
back,
let me go 10 minutes in the future.
Well, that didn't work again.
See what happens here.
Yeah,
Go 20 minutes in the future. See what's there.
But for decently explained reasons, he can't time travel anymore.
All right.
But now we're getting to a point in which there's a whole time traveling organization. And like, nothing weird has come of it yet, but they're setting themselves up for so much ruin right now.
Yeah. I spent yesterday recording. I've been playing Rage, the first one in the series of 2 games. The second one is coming out in May, and I wanted to play. I played a little bit of the first one a while back when it came out, and wanted to play it more fully to prepare for the sequel. And I'm a couple hours in, and it's fine. It's definitely a last gen game, which it is, so I'm not faulting it for that. But it's going to be nice to have like an open world and just more options and more things to do.
All right. Well, guys, we have been talking for a long time. Now it's about time for us to get down to the nerdy gritty. But
it is true. But first, we're just going to take a quick moment here to plug ourselves. Yep, take that.
That was me plugging myself.
That was me being plugged. That was Dez being plugged. No, we have a Patreon now. We've had it for a little while. And I want to let you guys know that if you are not a patron, you are listening to somewhere what is essentially the shortened version of this podcast. If you are a patron, though, 2nd tier or above, you get access on our Patreon to the director's cut. In fact, if you are not a patron, you've heard a shortened version of our conversation so far. After this, we'll be talking about our topic for the week, which I want to make clear that we do not shorten that unless there is an actual like tangent that has nothing to do with it. But that is the important part, so we don't cut that down at all. So if that's what but we would love to encourage you guys to just kind of support us if you can.
Right. So to be able to get that director's cut, that's our $5 tier, and that's the price of one video game a year. It's $60 a year.
Right.
But even if you just love a production credit, if you like supporting us, we have the $1 a year option, or $1 a month option.
$1 a month.
Just any support that you guys give us is wonderful to us. It really helps us take care of all of these things like subscription fees to podcast aggregators,
things like that.
SoundCloud, things like that, as well as our equipment and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
Also, let's just be clear that the director's cut of our what's it called of the podcast is not the only thing you get.
Oh yeah.
There will be videos that are going up. In fact, all the either they will be exclusive to Patreon or early access. So a lot of our stuff, any board games that we might play, the demos I played yesterday that I've talked about a little bit, those are all going to be either exclusive to Patreon or you'll get to see them earlier.
Yep.
And you can also see a lot of our regular videos on YouTube just right from there, right from Patreon. It's actually a really cool platform to get everything that we do. Starting soon. We haven't started doing that yet, but that's if you just want to go to Patreon, everything will be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be very cool. So thank you to those of you who are already patrons. And so those of you guys who aren't, thanks for listening. Thanks for your support there. And if you want to support us more, go check out our Patreon. With all that being said, let's get down to the nerdy gritty.
Let's do it.
So if you guys don't know this, Disney and Fox are already in talks and the process is going through, and it's pretty much inevitable now that Disney will be acquiring all of Fox's current rights to Marvel characters.
They're acquiring lots of stuff, including, there's even more to it. It's a big freaking deal. It's like a $71 billion deal.
Which Disney is sneezing out, I'm sure, but still.
Let me check my couch.
Oh, dang it. That was my other pants. Hold on.
Yeah.
But they, among other things, but what we're specifically going to be talking about is that they're going to be acquiring the Marvel properties that Fox currently owns.
They're getting the rights back.
All of this will include the X-Men universe.
Right.
And people who are X-Men and that world, including specifically Wolverine.
Yes. Now, let me tell you what brought this up.
Go ahead.
So recently, Daniel Radcliffe of Harry Potter fame did an interview. I think it was I forget what kind of interview it was. But basically, he made a joke about how, yes, he's been cast as Wolverine. They put Hugh Jackman through, and this is, I guess, a British term, but they put him through a hot wash, and he came out the other side as the new Wolverine.
What is
Daniel
a hot
Radcliffe.
wash?
I think it's just like put him in a hot washing machine and he shrunk.
Yeah, I got
down into a new Wolverine. But obviously it was a joke. Just I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna throw my wife under the bus here. She thought it was real for a second, and I thought it was hilarious. But anyway, he.
Side note: Daniel Radcliffe would make a terrible Wolverine.
Yeah, it wouldn't make any sense. Yeah, but so that got me thinking. Wait a minute. It's basically inevitable that Wolverine will in some way someday be involved in a movie.
Right.
Like, he's too popular for them to just, I mean...
Well, that storyline's done now.
Yeah, nope, never
Wolverine.
gonna... Every movie director and studio agrees, no more Wolverine. No, that's not how it works.
Nope.
We've had 3 Spider-Mans in 10 years. I mean, that's not got the same gravitas as, like, Hugh Jackman being Wolverine.
Pause.
Oh, pause?
Is that true?
Well,
within a decade, did... The first Avengers, or sorry, not Captain America, Civil War, to the very last Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, is it 10 years?
I believe so. I think there's less than. Let me look up when Spider-Man 3 came out.
You look that up, because if that's true, if we have had 3 different actors playing Spider-Man in 10 years, then Fox, you're bad at Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Indiana Jones is the same person over the course of 40 years.
2007 was Spider-Man 3 and Civil War.
I'm pretty sure it was 2017, if not 2016 even. This is our
hold on. Wait for it. Wait, gotta fill the silence with something. Let me see when that movie came out. 2016.
So 9 years.
In 9 years.
Oh my god.
In 9 years, 4 different movies with 3 different actors.
That is insanity.
Yes.
Okay, so again,
that's a thing.
Movie studios have no problem rebooting characters,
Absolutely
especially highly popular characters.
Wolverine is very popular, and obviously he's had more of a he's more renowned. At least Hugh Jackman playing him is much more has more of a gravitas than Tobey Maguire playing Spider-Man. Right. Like, Logan was emotionally resonant and felt like the closing of a book, but it is inevitable that Wolverine will come back in some fashion. And we want to talk about how that should happen. Well, first of all, let's ask the question. Should they?
Absolutely yes. Of course.
You think
yes.
they should?
Yes,
like
of course they should.
Really?
Because here's the reality of the matter. We've already said he's one of the world's most popular comic book characters, and I mean that literally. Like, he's like fourth or fifth most on the most known and popular world comic book characters. And so why close the storybook there? Why stop making Wolverine movies? Your face right now is the reason why people worry about the Oscars that we talked about.
Not the expression I'm making, my face itself.
Yes, just the face is saying.
They see a picture of me and they're like, "Ooh, the Oscars." I don't know. It's really weird.
It's this whole idea of like purists wanting things the way they were to stay the way they were forever, but without even saying, you know what, 10 years from now, there's going to be new technology, new people who were 10 years old that are now 20 years old and were that target demographic for that type of movie. And there's going to be those old Wolverine movies. They want their Wolverine movies. They want their Wolverine movies. So yes, of course they should.
The issue I just love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I thought he was great in the role. I think it is also I also think they should.
But here's what else, and and this isn't going to help from your opinion. This isn't going to help from your side of things. This isn't going to help. But I had the similar issue with the prequels until somebody had to really let me know these aren't for you. There are people that are 17, 18 right now that were 9 or 10 when the prequels came out, the Star Wars prequels, and they love them because they were movies.
Unfortunately, they were target movies made for children.
Right, and they love those movies. And, and
I understand.
As a Star Wars fan, I'm like, 3 was good, 1 was, and 2 was bad. 2 was bad. And so
I understand that. And also the fact that not every movie with Wolverine was good.
That's so true.
Remember X-Men Origins was hot garbage. It was so stupid.
The ending of Deadpool 2.
Oh yeah. But there's so many stupid things.
Hey, just cleaning up the timeline.
He shoots old Deadpool, and then he shoots himself for considering being in Green Lantern. Oh man, so good, such a good ending. But yeah, so I think if Logan didn't exist, and Wolverine died in some other movie, even if he died, but it was something much more akin to the typical X-Men movie where it's big bad guy. And they're all fighting, and it's like a team, and and he sacrifices himself to save the day. That would make a difference. Logan changed things, I think, as far as what a superhero quote unquote movie is.
The Deadpool movies wouldn't exist without. Oh wait, was Deadpool first before Logan?
Before Logan, I think so.
Was it? Okay. Maybe
you mean the R rating is what you're saying? Yeah. They're very
seriousness and the reality of it,
right? And so that changed things. When you have that serious of a movie, but that good about a character, it just feels with such a resonant ending, it just feels like opening it back up is why, guys? Why don't But I understand that was one movie.
Not to mention, I'm also going to say this. Not to mention the fact that we have already seen and been okay with Disney's side of things restarting characters with Spider-Man. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Other than Spider-Man 3, the Tobey Maguire movies were great. Spider-Man 1 and 2 were
I think great. Spider-Man 2 is maybe top 5 superhero movies ever made.
Yeah. It's fantastic. The way that they portray Alfred Molina's Doc Ock as such a tragic character.
At different times, a tragic, understandable villain, but also a classic comic book villain.
Yes.
Where he's robbing the bank and you're like, this is goofy, but also I love this guy.
Yes, absolutely. And so it's so well done. And those were good.
Those were good.
Spider-Man movies. But you know what else is really good? Spider-Man Homecoming. Tom Holland does a great job.
I love Tom Holland. Tom Holland, I think, is my favorite Spider-Man.
He does a fantastic job.
Yeah, I love those movies.
We're okay with very good movies a while back made by a different studio and very good movies made now by a new studio.
But again, Logan had a much more
poignant
take, and the fact that it was him I mean, I guess spoiler, we've already spoiled it, but dying, like it's a much more like it's a period on the end of the sentence. It's the last period. It's the end of the novel of Wolverine, or whatever.
So it's the end of Fox's Wolverine, and
right.
it's the end of Hugh Jackman's
So yeah, no,
as Wolverine.
Look.
Your brain
understand.
knows that I'm right, but your heart doesn't want to
I just love that
accept
movie
it.
so much. I don't think it should have been the first superhero movie. I think The Dark Knight should have won some Oscar, probably for I don't know about
best supporting actor.
It should have won something for Heath Ledger 100%. Did it win that?
Yeah,
Heath Ledger
won best supporting actor. Yeah,
I think it should have been nominated for Best Picture.
I agree.
I think that it should have been the
phenomenal.
first superhero movie that did, and then Logan, and then I guess Black Panther. I don't know, but I mean Black Panther is now, but
right.
It's weird that anyway. So we agree. You are more emphatic about it than I am, but we agree that they probably should, because Wolverine is this iconic character, interesting character that they can do things with. And
to kind of transition to
yes.
here's what I'll say.
Okay.
They should not at all tie it into the other ones.
Yes. Well, yeah, that would 100%. Yeah, if they try to do that at all, it's a mistake.
Yes.
Just cut it off. Don't try to say that was an alternate universe that now is ended because of reason. Just don't acknowledge it at all.
Exactly. Just be done with it. Let Hugh Jackman keep touring with his songs, which he's doing right now, by the way. He's on a concert tour.
Is he? Who is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's a fantastic singer, obviously.
He's doing all of his movie songs plus some covers.
I mean, that sounds like something you'd enjoy. I don't know. I haven't seen any of his musical. I didn't see.
I like his musicals.
Oh, okay.
And I like the music in them, but I don't want to just watch.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, and that's fine. No, yeah, I'd rather go see something like there's when is it Hans Zimmer that does like the music of Hans Zimmer?
Right,
and
yes.
it's him. It's not just an orchestra playing it. It's him and his orchestra.
Yeah,
that's amazing because he has such. Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, let Hugh Jackman do his thing.
He does his thing. Don't bring him back. Maybe in a Deadpool movie, because remember we have to remember Deadpool is also a Fox property that Disney will own.
Right.
So maybe that's the only way for a 4-second get out of here, Hugh kind of thing. We got a new Wolverine. That kind of thing. He's better than you ever were. I'm so sorry, Hugh. Like after credit scene. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
We still friends.
That would be really good.
That's the only way. Make fun of it, but don't actually involve him in your dramatic storyline where he's come back from. Like, don't do a.
Don't make him Old Man Logan.
Yeah, don't hunt. So Wolverine's been huge in comics lately.
Right.
The whole like hunt for Wolverine. Wolverine died.
He's back.
He's back. Then there was the Hunt for Wolverine, which is a thing that like I don't know the storylines. I didn't read them. They sounded stupid, but because he's died,
like comic books.
He's died multiple times. I don't care. But now there's there's Old Man Logan. That's a regular series.
Right.
There's also Dead Man Logan. I don't know what the crap that means, but so he's been.
It's just like his grave every panel. That's it. He just turned the page and it's just the same image.
No, it's just his body very slowly decomposing
over each panel.
In real time, 1 month from 1 month. 1 month later, what does a body look like? Until you just have an adamantium skeleton.
That's it. Nothing else.
I'd read that. So he's been big right now, and so I feel like there's temptation, like because Marvel does this sometimes, where they have a really big story arc that's related to what's happening in their movies, but not the same story. Right. So they've done this with like Thanos. Like he was in or Infinity War, or like versions of it in their Secret Wars story, like things like that. Or Guardians of the Galaxy, they pushed hard in their comics for Guardians of the Galaxy, but it wasn't just here's what's in the movie, or even here's what happened behind the scenes that you did, like another adventuring story of the movie version. It was just here's Guardians. People like Guardians right now. Maybe people will buy. Yeah. So I feel like there's temptations because Wolverine's been big and we're going to be closing this deal soon. Let's get Wolverine on the screen.
If
I'm
they
worried.
I would also be. See, even then, I don't know if I'd be worried as much as here's what I think they should do. They can bring Wolverine back as soon as they get the property if they want. They can start making the movie whatever they want. I think they should go about it the same way that I think Fox did a good job with the steps they took toward Wolverine until Origins, but still, where he was a featured, a mostly main character.
He's essentially the main character
in the
of
X-Men
the
movie.
X-Men series.
Yes.
He was the emotional, for the most part, the emotional bedrock of those movies,
right?
That involve lots of other characters.
Yeah, he's kind of the POV character,
a little bit,
the one
yeah,
that you follow,
which is
the
a
one that you
good
wanna know.
idea.
Yeah,
because of the X-Men, he is one of the most interesting as
Yes,
far as like
very much so.
his backstory and just his internal like conflict and. Kind of a little less straight-laced than Scott Summers, who is technically the leader of the X-Men. They kind of just screwed over Cyclops in those movies. But, So, I think they did good. I think they are... I mean, I hope that they are setting themselves up for a good story.
Yes.
Now,
but, they have to be.
Obviously, for 21 movies now, they've done a great job of an overarching story, or at least, in the future, we've got this, we can talk about this.
Right.
Not having to retcon themselves or...
They have yet to make a bad movie.
Yeah, or even one that's like, well, it's a good movie, but why is he there now? No, I get him. They're incorporating other characters really well.
Yeah.
Like, Falcon shows up. You understand a little bit who he is. Like, he's just another soldier.
Yeah, my least favorite Marvel movie is Infinity War, and it's still okay. It's good. I enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Gotta compose myself again. But no, yeah. So I think they're very good at incorporating characters that haven't been in this universe so far. And I think so even all these movies generally have the MacGuffin.
Yes.
And obviously the big MacGuffin is the Infinity Gauntlet.
Right.
It's the MacGuffin of MacGuffins.
Yeah.
Because it's the MacGuffin that incorporates
now
every
it's my
MacGuffin.
turn to compose myself.
Right. Which... Yes, it is it's based on the comics. It's not just something they made up for the movie, so that helps me accept it a little more. It's something that's been already established.
Right.
If you know comics. If you don't, I think that they've done a good job of, the space stone, the blue one, isn't just some rock he found on the ground. It's that thing you've known about since the Avenger. Well, yeah, since Thor. Was that in Thor?
No, maybe it was...
It was in Avengers.
It was in Avengers.
Oh, no, it was in Thor.
It was in Thor,
It was the
wasn't
thing
it?
that made Red Skull... original Captain America.
That's what it was.
It was the thing that
original
made Red
Captain
Skull
America.
got sucked
Yes.
into the... Yeah. So even if it's a MacGuffin, which it is, you've known about it for 10 years.
It's been an established MacGuffin.
And so
before
that
it
helps
MacGuffed.
you accept it. And so, right, which is a paradox a little bit. But so now... There's a lot I want to say, but now I think they've set themselves up to incorporate all of this new media, new property, because of Infinity War and the Gauntlet and the Stones.
Oh, so we're because they're going to reestablish reality or reestablish time
Yes.
or reestablish.
There are
the space-time
100 things,
or-
literally infinite
Yes.
possibilities for what could happen because these stones are so unexplained. In a good way, I think. Kind of. It's hurt a little bit, but also their options are now open. They can do what they want. What exactly does the reality stone do? Well, we know it can alter people's perceptions of reality, but we don't know if it can change reality for real.
Yeah, no, it did that.
Did they?
Yeah, he was.
Because
they
the
threw something
bubbles and the...
and they threw something at Thanos, and he turned it into birds.
Sure, okay.
He
So
never
we know...
did that to Iron Man's suit. I don't know why. That would have been a really smart
Shut
thing
up,
to
Steve.
do.
No, yeah. No, 100%. It's a problem. I'm very curious as how they're going to get around it. Captain Marvel could be super powerful, but can't he just snap and kill her real quick or what? So I'm very curious. You had much more problems with Infinity War than I
Yes.
did. I was willing to overlook some of that stuff. But I'm very curious. But here's the thing. For Wolverine, and we're going to move, I think we should move into just the general X-Men universe.
Right.
How do they bring that into the Disney MCU in a way that feels natural and not just, hey guys, we have the X-Men now, so here's X-Men movie.
Here's what I'm going to say, and I want to say this with as much love for the Marvel Universe, Disney's Marvel Universe as possible.
Okay.
You can't put them all together. You can't bring the X-Men. Infinity War, to me, was already enough of a problem with the amount of stories they tried to tell at one time. It felt like, to me, Infinity War felt like 3 different movies that should have been an hour and a half long each, crammed into 2.5 hours.
Okay, I can see that.
And it was.
Oh, wait, by the way, have you seen that it's likely that Endgame will be over 3 hours long?
Which I'm fine
I'm
with.
pumped
that.
about
Tell
that.
the story,
Woo!
please. Yes. So anyway, if you're going to try and add the X-Men in there while you're also trying to tell individual stories of each X-Men member,
Yeah.
you please don't try to put everybody in there at one time anymore.
Yeah.
This is Infinity War was your magnum opus of attempts. It was an experiment, and depending on how Endgame goes, it may not be a very
the story's not
successful one.
over. It's something we have to realize. But here's the thing. So I think that Marvel has already has a storyline in the comics that could inform them of how to do something like this. House of M.
Okay. Yeah, I can absolutely see that.
In the House of M storyline, I don't remember I think was it the fact that Pietro died, that Quicksilver died, and
no, Quicksilver's still alive. So what happens in
House
Wanda, Wanda Maximoff, who
Scarlet
Witch is she can change realities.
She has slightly different powers.
She has,
as far as we know,
her powers are still MacGuffin-y.
They're
unknown.
very out there, which I think is great. Like I think it works well.
Disagree on that, but okay.
I think it works for what could possibly happen.
But the point is that in the comics, she has reality-changing powers, and she's also having a mental breakdown.
Yes.
And so there's this question of her mental breakdown aren't just mental breakdowns. She is not seeing things.
Yes.
She's creating that reality of things.
She basically, her brain breaks and changes
and so
reality.
Eventually what happens is so everybody gets together and they're like, hey, the honest, most humane thing to do is to go kill her.
Yes.
And they all get together and they go to do this. But Professor X, who was always the
pacifist, think people can change.
He and Scarlet Witch, he uses his brain powers to read the minds of every person on the planet and to pick the greatest scenario that everybody will be the most happy with. And then he feeds that into Wanda's brain, and Wanda creates that reality.
Well, sure. The real iconic thing from House of M is that at one point, Scarlet Witch says, no more mutants.
That's the end of House of M.
Results in... That's true. It's called the decimation.
Yes.
Is the actual storyline. But it results in the fact that the mutant population goes from millions to a couple hundred. Now, people had issues with, why did you choose these people to live? Why were they... there was some issues with that. But I think it's a good setup because... All right, I'm gonna do some theorizing and some spitballing for what should be an Endgame. I don't like doing this. It's fun thought experiment, but it's ultimately pointless because it's not worth anything. But here's my theory: they're taking down Thanos. The people have been brought back from the Soul Realm or whatever, so all their friends are back, and they decide, their ultimate plan: we have to destroy the gems. That's what ends this. We have to obviously get Thanos away from the gems and the gauntlet, but the gems are the problem. We have to destroy them. After everybody comes back, I don't know. Look, I don't have the details, but Vision is killed again in some permanent way or whatever, and Wanda's brain breaks, and she decides to destroy the reality gem and causes some kind of superhero decimation. This results in Tony Stark and Captain America dying. This results in a lot. Okay, obviously all the details are not there. This is my theory. This should happen. And then later in the comic books, far later actually, the Phoenix Force is a thing, which is already a thing in what they have been doing with the X-Men right now, so it might be a bad idea to bring it back.
There's a Dark Phoenix movie coming out.
Yes, yeah. But they're also, at a certain point, I don't know what the term they use is, but mutants start coming, more and more mutants start appearing.
The X gene.
Sure. But it becomes super rapidly appearing. Instead of no more, it's a whole lot more. And it was partially a literary thing. We need more characters. Let's let's make this happen. But also, I could see that being a thing. This is how they bring in other characters.
We've messed with reality and our bodies are responding to it.
Reality is different now. Yes. It's the trope of or it's the MacGuffin of things are different. And we don't have to explain because they're different. Now Wolverine is here.
Yeah.
And I think it could work well. As long as it's not just one big group of people at a school in upstate New York that now all have powers. It's SHIELD, the new version of SHIELD becomes an organization that seeks out these people and seeks to help them understand who they are now, and finds Professor X or something and puts him in charge. And like the whole thing is naturally brought in. I'm talking a lot, but I don't know. That's my theory.
Here's what I'll say. That is an appropriately comic book like storyline that you have going there.
Right.
I think that what Marvel has done with these movies that has been very good is they've balanced reality with comic book.
It's true.
Fairly well.
Sometimes a little more or a little less
maybe
for different
not
characters.
As good as like Dark Knight and Batman Begins. I think that balanced it perfect. Less because there was no superpowers in it, but
that went 90% on the realistic
right, and
side.
I loved it. But they've been doing a really good job balancing this comic book, and so here's the way I think that they should introduce the X-Men and Wolverine into the universe, and it's subtle and it's simple, and they can do whatever they want with it. Endgame. They change it, and everybody comes back to life, and everything's happening, whatever, and they beat Thanos.
Yep.
However they want, they beat
punch
Thanos.
him in the face enough.
Yeah, they punch him really, really hard.
Yeah, basically a Superman versus Doomsday style thing.
Absolutely.
Just punch each other as hard as you can.
So, okay, real big side note. Tom Grummett, one of my favorite comic book artists, if not my favorite comic book artist, he did Death of Superman.
Yeah.
And the way that they did that was every page was one panel less.
Well,
every issue was one panel less over 12 issues until the last issue was just punch by punch, full page,
and it's awesome.
Yes,
it really helped. I remember reading the graphic novel, or the collected trade back, and realizing that trade paperback, and wow, it's really making it feel more epic and bigger.
Yes, it's literally bigger with every issue.
The story was still them punching each other, so it's not that
okay. So they punch Thanos really, really hard and they win, and because comic books, that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But at the end, everybody's trying to settle back in, and everybody's trying to wrap things up, and everybody's trying to be okay. And Vision goes to and also at some point in there, Wanda's powers go haywire.
Well, sure,
they have, and that's probably something that's going to happen anyway.
She needs to be. She's kind of very useful for this idea.
Wanda's powers go haywire at some point for reasons. They go to we go to the end of the movie, and Vision is like, finally we can be together, and she's like, actually, I can't right now. I just can't.
Okay.
But ever since the reboot, more and more people like me have been popping up, to the point that there's a school in New York that are taking people from all over the world, and I'm told that they're teaching people how to handle their powers there.
I like
need
the idea.
To go there.
I like
the
idea.
And it's just really subtle. And then the after credits scene, I want the end credits, very end, is wanted to walk in, and whoever the new Professor X casting is going to be, it turns around or wheels around and says,
"What do they call you? Wheels?"
And wheels around and says, Wanda, welcome to Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. And that's it. That's the end credit scene, and it just establishes the new arc and establishes everything else. But other than that, it's just really subtle and really quiet.
I don't think that much will happen in Endgame. I don't think that much to establish what's going to happen in the future, especially since the deal is not actually real. Right. I'm sure they've started writing things already and have theories, but the deal is not done. And so they're probably not dedicating actual filming time to things that they legally
I don't think that's actually going to happen. I'm saying that would be a really cool way to do it.
I want the school to be formed 5 or 6 years from now.
Okay. Oh, so you want X-Men origins, literal X-Men origins.
Yes, I want to see a character here and there. I want so Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, who are not called Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, are in the MCU, obviously.
Right.
They are not mutants. They're just experiments, which, it's whatever it's a workaround for what they couldn't do. But they can't just say there's more people like me, in my opinion, because they were specifically. Now they could say that, but it would be weird because
they were experiments.
They were Hydra experiments.
Were they? I thought they were just like people that Hydra found that were just like that.
No, they were
all right.
Experiments, I don't know about tortured, but just like created by Hydra, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily just, oh, there's more mutants now. It's so they would have to. They also have no problem showing us like heroes and characters that are like they don't need to be. What's the word I'm looking for? They have no problem just, hey, here's this character now. Like, you show you an intro, but they don't need to be man, I lost the thread of what I was trying to come up with.
Good job, Fox. Way to podcast.
Yeah, this is a fun podcast. Now I want them to be like, hey, Wolverine is in this movie now. Or it's just like Storm or something, or this is what I need to say. They are very able to pick and choose specifically who they want to put in there. They do not have to choose Storm, Iceman, Beast, Wolverine, Jean, all the popular ones. They don't have to follow what the original X-Men was or who's been in the X-Men movies already. They can do whatever they want.
Right.
So pick and choose the ones that feel the most realistic. To me, Wolverine's always been the most realistic mutant because he's literally just got enhanced versions of things we already have.
Like claws?
Healing. Yeah. Bones.
Oh, okay.
He's got additional bones.
All right.
Cats have retractable claws. He's just a different evolution of human. Like, that's already a thing. Jean Grey, I think, is also semi-real, or maybe next in line, because we all have intuition. We can sense how people are feeling. We can sense, maybe not what they're thinking, but we can understand people in a not just physical way. Like, we can, and she goes a step further and can read minds,
right.
Maybe Beast, another one where it's just another beast-like person. Like, pick the ones that feel the most realistic, where it can just be like Storm. To me is terrible because she can control the weather, and that doesn't make any sense.
Why?
Yeah, it makes sense in a comic book, but
Scott
when they are trying, when they
laser eye surgery, it's the way that works.
See, I think laser eyes also could be something that they make happen, or maybe he just has goggles or something that shoot lasers. I don't know. That wouldn't be the same, but I think that they should not have themselves beholden to comic book history or establish movie history.
Yeah, they don't want to be holding on to that comic book
They
history.
don't. Just do what you want and form the X-Men eventually from these several characters that work well together. That they have they have a bond in being a result of the gemstones being destroyed, the Infinity Stones being destroyed, and the world changing, or from Wanda or whatever. Wanda could be a leader because she that'd be cool if she started taking up some responsibility but it needs to feel, if we can't predict exactly how, but there are ways that they go about it that would make it feel better than just, here's the X-Men now. You love those guys, right? Now they're fighting the Avengers. And it could feel really dumb, but if they were just a character here and a character there, and who eventually come together and realize that they are similar, it'd be exactly what the X-Men were. They are people who are different from most of society, even different from the Avengers, because for the most part, the Avengers chose what they're doing.
Right.
These guys didn't. This was forced upon them. That would make Wanda a great leader because this was also forced upon them.
Right.
And so eventually they come together and say, what's our purpose now? Our purpose is not to fight anybody. I would love to see a pacifist X-Men. We are here to help people.
That'd be really difficult to include Wolverine in that.
Exactly. He'd be a wild card. He'd be somebody that maybe he's the villain.
Ooh,
I don't know. I'm just saying I want to see something different. I don't want the X-Men to just be, well, they're the X-Men. They fight Magneto now. We've seen that. Do something new. We haven't seen actual high school Spider-Man in a Spider-Man movie where he's mostly just dealing with teenage things.
Right.
That's more interesting to me than him fighting all the big villains that I know about. Do something more interesting with these characters that we love. Don't just hold yourself to what people expect, which I think Disney is pretty good at.
Here's the way I think that they should go about it. So we've both talked about how to introduce them and then how to maintain them, is what you just talked about.
Basically.
Here's the way I would maintain them. The way that I've described the main difference between DC Comics and Marvel Comics for years now is that DC Comics focuses on individual characters better, That's why their best known characters are the Trinity, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman.
Right.
Where Marvel focuses on teams significantly better, which is why, with the exception of Spider-Man, the best known things in Marvel are the X-Men, the Avengers,
And now the Guardians of the Galaxy.
and the Guardians of the Galaxy, like teams.
Yeah.
And because of that, individuals, people, in my opinion, have always been written better by DC, but huge overarching stories have always been written better by Marvel. So, but Marvel movies are the opposite.
It's
Marvel
very different.
movies are very character driven.
Yeah.
I think Marvel movies should go the route of DC Comics and make, okay, so again, if they were to have done this with Infinity War, instead of doing Infinity War and try and make 3 movies, they could do something like, and now they'd be able to do this because they have a really established thing, but things like Guardians of the Galaxy Infinity, Avengers Infinity.
Oh,
And,
separate movies
yes,
that deal with...
And that deal with, but it's the whole story. And then maybe they release a supercut later that is a 4-hour movie or something like that. But
I don't know how well that works.
But for the most part, they recognize we cannot possibly include X-Men, the Avengers, the Guardian of the Galaxy. We cannot include everybody into one movie and want to make it good. So instead, we'll do X-Men Infinity. And that will be how the X-Men are dealing with this. And maybe there'll be moments of crossover. Maybe they'll like have a couple of scenes that are shared, but from different points of view. But for the most part, they allow each team to experience.
I like
the
that
events
idea.
on
I don't
their
think
own.
it would work well in like execution. I think it'd be, I mean, obviously, they're gonna write it better than we ever could.
Absolutely, yes.
I don't know. It just it seems.
I don't know, Fox. We are fans.
It's true.
And fans know better.
Fans know best.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I do agree that it is very character driven.
Yes.
So Wolverine's an interesting character. Any character can be interesting if you know.
If you have a good writer,
That's
yeah.
why I think that the X-Men shouldn't just be another team. It should be a group. Maybe they should never be called the X-Men.
Ooh, interesting.
Then why would they be called that? Why? Maybe he's not Professor X. He's just Xavier. Or maybe they call him that, but he's not like. Why would he call in the comics? They're called the X-Men because he's the leader, Professor
Right.
X. But maybe they just never call themselves
And also,
that.
X was a popular thing at the time.
Well, sure. But it's just like it's a school where they go to learn like how I don't know. Maybe it's even a different version of that. Maybe that's just like a new Avengers base where that's what happens, and like they're basically being groomed to become parts of the Avengers. And there's conflict there because some of them don't want to just be forced into a life of violence, essentially, even
Right.
if it is against big alien invaders or something. And like do something different with it. Involve these characters in ways that we haven't seen that make them, especially with Wolverine, where it's like, no, that's actually not Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. They're not just aping off of
Right.
the pre-established fan base, and it doesn't feel like they're exploiting this character that we all had closure on. This is a completely different person. Maybe he never even gets like adamantium on his skeleton. He's just this feral character that they're having
maybe
a hard...
they go the original like 80s Wolverine style
Yeah.
where he's a douche. He's a jerk.
Maybe he's a character that tests Professor X's pacifism because he is unwilling to be tamed and a danger to his students.
Right. Yeah, Wolverine used to straight up murder people
Right.
a lot, and he used to
I mean,
just
he still
straight up
does.
be a
He-
jerk.
He has no problem
a
killing,
lot.
but yeah, he's less of a jerk now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, anyway. Well, guys, okay. We
This-
got to cut it off
I
here.
could, like
We could
always, I
both
could
keep
continue
going.
for hours, but I can't. I got work to do.
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for your support. If our little plug made you check out our Patreon, thank you so much for even looking. To our patrons, thank you so much for all the support that you give us. Guys, let us know what you think in the comments, or when you share this, make a comment on what you think about how Marvel should handle Wolverine in the movies, how they should handle the X-Men in the movies.
Right.
Thank you guys so much for your support one more time. And remember, saved games, save lives.
Bye, everybody.